All right. Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, July 11th, 2022 City of West Point Business Meeting. We begin the meeting by a prayer, and I'd like to ask Reverend Ledbetter to do the honor.
Let's pray. God, we thank you for the day. We thank you for your goodness and grace and for affording us the opportunity to serve you and others. We ask your blessings upon this city and upon our deliberations tonight in the name of Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
If you'll stand with me, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to call the business meeting to order. Council, you have the minutes from the work session, executive session, May 31st, 2022, and the business meeting, June 13th, 2022, in your information packet. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
We have a motion, and we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you have the financial reports in your information package.
That was in opposition.
Okay, we have one in opposition to the minutes.
Thank you.
Okay. We have the financial reports you have in your information package. Do I hear a motion to approve the financial report?
So moved.
Okay, second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I'll review the agenda before we begin. Tonight, we have the meeting minutes. We have the Valley Partner Joint Development Authority members. We have the intergovernmental agreement between the city and West Point Housing Authority for the West Point Villages project. And we have a property purchase. Do I hear a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
Mayor Trammell, I move that we amend the agenda to table the vote on the land purchase to allow for us to receive some additional information.
Okay, do I have anybody to second the amended motion? Okay, amended motion fails for lack of second. Do I
We
hear?
approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, one opposed. Okay, in new business, we have the meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve to continue to document meetings in the current summary format?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, do I hear a motion? We have the Valley Partnership Joint Development Authority members. Do I hear a motion to appoint the chairman of the West Point Development Authority and the Economic Development Director to the Valley Partnership Joint Development Authority Board?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I think the memorandum or the agreement states, who would be a member of that board. And one of those positions, as far as I know, is still vacant. Is that accurate, or have we filled the position?
Have not filled it yet.
Okay, so in the interim, Ed is filling the position. I assume he will sit on the board and then will be replaced by
Correct.
the newly hired person.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Okay, the intergovernmental agreement between the city and West Point Housing Authority for the West Point Villages project. Do I hear a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the city and West Point Housing Authority for the West Point Villages project? It's for the previously approved city share of the funding of $250,000. The anticipated closing date is July 15th, 2022. The project includes 72 units.
Can I say something?
No, sir, not in the business meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
No discussion, but I'm happy that we're gonna do this project.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. Purchase property. City council gave city manager permission to negotiate the purchase of property on behalf of the city. Do I hear a motion to approve the purchase of property at East 6th Street, 11.64 acres fronting 6th Street, Ivy Lane, and Crestview for $75,000?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, unfortunately, I missed the executive session. I've tried to obtain some information since then from Ed on Friday, from Jane Fuller today. She was able to come forward with some information late in the day, but too late to really review and didn't get much. What I was sent was multi-list information from Columbus and from the state of Georgia. I first want to ask again, I've asked a couple of people, is there an appraisal on this property?
There's not a current appraisal on the property, no. I don't know if there's a former one, but not a current one.
Okay. And if it's not, I mean, if it's not too old, it's better than no appraisal at all, I suppose, but nobody's been able to come forward with any information, current or otherwise. And I think anytime we're considering spending city funds for anything, we need to be good stewards of citizens of the city's money. I've made an attempt to talk with all of the council members, and I've talked to a couple of members today. And what I've been able to glean about the discussion in executive session doesn't address any cost or valuation of the property, which seems like would be a very basic question that all of us should be asking. When you look at the parcel of about 12 acres in a tract of 60 acres, valued at less than $200,000, and I know that tax assessments are tax assessments, but again, asking price is not necessarily appraised value either. This is a conversation very similar to one we had a few meetings ago, in which I expressed some of the same concerns. And again, it continues to be a concern of mine. The price that the asking price for this is how much?
$75,000.
$75,000.
That was not the asking.
No, that wasn't thank you very
Right.
much. No, that was not the asking price. That was the negotiated, what Ed was able to negotiate. The
He
price
was
price was much higher.
Okay, I think Ed mentioned that it was 80 or something like that, and it was negotiated down by 5,000 or so.
And 80, and I'd heard higher than that
Mhm.
previous to that, so.
Okay. But that's a far cry from $1,500 an acre, and we know that $1,500 an acre is low, but I'm just trying to reconcile the vast difference. And it's not that it's not a good thing for us to do. You know, I've heard everything from, we need to do a recreation park over there, we need to have tennis courts over there, we need to name it after a certain person. All of that is wonderful, great ideas. It just seems that we're getting the cart before the horse. We need to make sure we're making a good decision on acquiring it, first of all. And $1,475 or so is a long way from the actual price that we're saying we're willing to pay. That we probably will pay. I just want to say that I'm very supportive of a park over there. I'm very supportive of tennis courts. I think we need to diversify the recreational interests of our youth. We need to focus on recreation, sure. We've got property that we're not doing anything with. We continue to acquire additional property.
What property do we have we're not doing anything with?
Well, we've got some speculative property on 10th Street, I think, that's been sitting there.
The city of West Point does not have property on 10th Street.
Okay, all right.
The West
well,
Point Development Authority has property on 10th Street.
Okay, but we figured into that, right? But anyway, that's a debate, that's a different debate than this. If I may finish. It's a great thing to focus on recreation. I think it would be excellent to have a park in that location. It is right in the middle of both West Points, and I think there's some advantages to that. But what really concerns me is that we're focusing on recreation, but we're focusing on recreation in some ways, but we omit or overlook the need for an opportunity to teach kids to swim. The swimming pool has not been open for several years now. In February, I broached the subject with the county, asking if the pool was going to be open this summer. No, there's no pool in the city. There's a splash pad. That's great for 3-year-olds to 7 or 8-year-olds. It does not take the place of a pool. But other than recreation, children need to learn how to swim.
Amen.
We really don't have, we're not trying to facilitate that as a community, and I think it's short-sightedness on our part. You know, Troup County is responsible for providing us support in the recreation area. There's a pool up there. It's not owned by the county. It's owned by the Troup County school system. It's not owned by the city. When the schools went away, it went with the school. And we all know the history behind all of that. But the bottom line is, we've got a facility up there. It needs a lot of repair, according to the county manager. However, it gets done. It needs to get done. We need to form a partnership with the school system, with the city, with the county, whatever it takes, private citizens, to fund a pool. So many people ask about it. And like I said, it started in February, the conversation started, and nobody made a commitment to do the repairs, but, I thought something would happen. We'd hear something, nothing yet. So I'm asking this body to consider, we've got a whole year. We've missed it for this summer. We've got a whole year. Now we're talking about spending money for purchasing land for a park. We don't have money to open a pool for the benefit of our children during the summer, to have some activity, and more critical than just being able to go swim, the opportunity to learn to swim. Can't imagine a community that does not see that as somewhat of a priority. So, having said all of that, the park is a great idea. We should not overpay for it. We shouldn't go into any decision like this without information. Just what's the price? Oh, okay, that's a good price. I don't think any of us make decisions with our personal funds like that, and I don't think we ought to make the decision to spend the city's money that way.
Dee Dee, you said that you heard that things were thrown out like tennis courts and naming it after somebody and other things. Well, I don't know who you heard that from, but we threw out a lot of things. A tennis court was one. We probably said a pool would be good. I mean, that was a lot of things that was probably thrown out. We wasn't deciding on what we would put there when we was in the discussion. We was just deciding on purchasing the land for park and rec. I mean, that decision, pool is necessary in West Point. It is needed. I mean, and that is something we can discuss. But we did throw out other ideas other than a tennis court and a name.
And it's natural to think about long-term, what are we going to do with it? We ought to know what we have in mind to do with it. All I'm saying is that we've gotten all the way out there and we've not asked some basic questions about the value of the property. And we're off and running and ready to say yes to a purchase without really doing our due diligence. That's my concern about it. Now,
I'm sorry you missed the meeting, but you don't know the questions that we asked because you were not there.
Well, I've asked them since then.
But we did this in executive session, so
Right.
we're not supposed to discuss anything that we talked about in executive session.
Council member to council member is not supposed to talk about executive session discussions? You're not supposed to discuss it outside of the
Right,
council, but
right, but,
had I
I'm
been-
sorry you missed the meeting, but a lot of things was discussed and talked about.
not, okay, was the value of the property talked about? That's what I'm getting at. I'm not really worried about what you did talk about. I'm worried about what you didn't talk about. That seems to be critical information that needs to be considered before we vote on it.
But how do you know what we did discuss?
Well, did you?
I'm not gonna discuss it now. We're not in executive session.
And so that's why I asked that we table the decision so we could have further discussion about it.
Well, I think you've stated now what your concerns are, and we understand that, and
I'm not quite finished. My concern is, and let me just, when you look at it, the valuations in that area, none of them come up to what we're saying we're gonna spend on that. There are not a lot of comparables, but, it's disappointing that nobody from the realtor to nobody on this council took the time to even ask the question or to get the information. And if the question was asked, the answer wasn't given apparently, because that came direct from a source that was in the meeting.
It's not really our job to go out and, that's what we pay Ed and his staff to bring information like that back to us. We don't run the day-to-day operations.
You are absolutely correct, you don't. And Ed does his job to the extent that he feels, is appropriate. It is our responsibility to ask Ed questions if he's missing information. And I think in this case, he did not present, there's no appraisal, there's no information at all about the value of the property other than this is the asking price. And it's less than what they started out with.
Mr. Mayor,
It's our responsibility to,
During the meeting, we were actually apprised of current value of the land and what they could get for it, if I'm remembering correctly.
and what is that,
Well,
Jerry?
I'm not going to discuss it in open meeting.
Okay,
That's
so
the
may
way-
I,
If we table this at this moment, the price of the property is liable to double. This is
Okay.
why this is not handled the way you're trying to handle it.
so I'll ask one more time, in the interest of
I'm sure he has.
discussing it in a closed session, may we table this vote until our next meeting to give us opportunity to talk freely about the purchase of this property and all of the information that you say has already been discussed.
we've gone through that, and we decided not, your motion wasn't second on that. And I'm gonna move forward with the vote in a minute. I will say that, appraisal is only one way of assessing value of a property. If the lot next door to your home is for sale, you're gonna pay a whole lot more. If you want the privacy of a lot next door to your home, you're gonna pay a whole lot more than any appraisal or any tax value you see. This is a nice piece of property that's readily accessible to the Troup County side of our community and the Harris side. It's a nice area for a park for the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th Street community. We've got a nice one in the Waterworks. We can have a nice one over here as well. So I think the council's kind of looking at it in a holistic kind of an approach that goes well beyond just what an appraisal would say. This is something that what the end result will be far exceed any number that you'd see on an appraisal from, there's no comps for a 12-acre parcel in this area. There's just there's no other piece like this in this area. So you just can't hardly go by that. So, all right,
So you just make it up.
you go with you go with your gut,
Okay.
in this particular instance. A price was set by the buyer, and the council, we're gonna find out here.
And we are the purchaser, and, we'll go with what this group agrees on. I just feel an obligation to say what my discomfort level is with it, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
You're welcome. So this is, I'll stress too, this is with Harris County SPOS money that we're using here for this, which is what it was dedicated for. So I've asked for a motion.
And they've had this money for how long?
Oh, it's,
Since what, 2000, did he say 2010?
it was in the teens. I don't know if it was
Yeah.
10, but it was in the teens.
So when you have money in your personal account, because you've had it on file, it's been in your savings account, do you just spend it?
All right, let's get back to point.
Okay, all right. I've asked, do I have a motion? I've lost track now.
Yes,
I have a motion.
You got a motion and a second.
I've got a motion and a second. We're in discussion. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. All in favor of this motion?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. All right. The next work session is on Tuesday, July 26th. That's all there is for this business meeting. Do we have any announcements this evening?
Yes.
Any announcements from the council?
I just wanted, if anybody went over to the Virginia Cook or this Senior West Point Active Life Center for the tablets, I can say that it was a success. And I appreciate those who showed up and helped out with that project.
Okay, that was good. Good thing. Anybody else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody want to stay?
No.
Okay, that's it then.